Marcus and Derek both turned 38 in 2010 with $11,000 in their checking accounts and zero retirement savings. They worked in the same hospital system. Marcus was an X-ray tech making $62,000. Derek was a respiratory therapist making $64,000. Both had student loans, both rented. Both spent their 20s and early 30s thinking retirement was something they would figure out later. Later arrived at 38 with nothing saved. Marcus panicked. He Googled how much you need to retire and saw articles saying 7 figures minimum. He did rough math on a retirement calculator, saw he was 15 years behind, and decided he needed to make big moves to catch up. He opened a brokerage account and started buying individual stocks, tech stocks mostly. He read Reddit threads about options. He put $8,000 into cryptocurrency in 2013 when a coworker told him it was the only way people like them could get rich quick. He pulled money out during the 2011 dip because it felt safer to hold cash when the market was uncertain. He got back in 6 months later after things calmed down. He switched jobs twice, chasing higher salaries, but the new cities were more expensive, so his lifestyle scaled up with the income. By 2016, Marcus had $43,000 saved across 3 accounts. It felt like progress, but he was exhausted. Derek also panicked at 38. But his panic led him to a different conclusion. He Googled the same thing Marcus did, but he kept reading past the clickbait headlines. He found a Vanguard study showing that people who start saving in their late 30s and just consistently invest 15% of their income in low-cost index funds end up with over $1 million by 65 if they never touch it. Derek did not believe it at first. The math seemed too simple. But he ran it himself in a compound interest calculator. 15% of $64,000 is $9,600 a year. At an average 10% annual return, that is $1.77 million in 27 years. He opened a Roth IRA and a work 401k. He set up automatic contributions, 15% every month. He bought a single target date index fund and did not look at it. He did not switch jobs chasing salary bumps. He got modest raises where he was. He drove the same Toyota Camry he bought used in 2009. When his friends upgraded to bigger apartments, Derek stayed in his $100 one-bedroom. The difference between Marcus and Derek was not intelligence. It was not income. It was not luck. It was that Derek trusted boring math and Marcus trusted the financial media that profits from making late starters feel desperate. Fast forward to today. Marcus is 53, Derek is 53. The gap between them is 1.4 million. I am Jimmy. This is Late to Wealth. And if you are watching this video because you feel like you started late, the math I'm about to show you is going to change how you see your situation. Because the truth is, you are not actually behind. You just believe the lie that you are. The lie is everywhere. It is in retirement calculators that tell you that you need $2 million to retire comfortably. It is in articles that say if you are not a millionaire by 40, you have already lost. It is in whole life insurance pitches and high-fee advisor meetings and day trading influencers who promise you can catch up fast. The industry loves late starters because late starters are willing to pay for urgency. But here's the truth that nobody is incentivized to tell you. If you are 35, 40, even 45, and you start investing 15 to 20% of your income in a low-cost total market index fund, you will very likely retire a millionaire. Not because you did anything fancy. Because compound interest does not care when you started. It only cares that you kept going. The actual data backs this up. The Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances tracks wealth by age. The median net worth of a 35-year-old in America is $76,000. For a 40-year-old, it is $141,000. For a 45-year-old, it is $207,000. Those are medians. Half of people are below that. If you are 38 with 20,000 saved, you are not an outlier. You are normal. And normal people who start investing consistently in their late 30s end up wealthy by 65. The math is not theoretical. It is historical. Let me show you the curve nobody talks about. Most people think compounding is a smooth upward line. It is not. It is a hockey stick. The first 10 years feel like nothing. The last 10 years are where all the magic happens. Here's what I mean. Let us say you are 40 years old. You start investing $800 a month into an S&P 500 index fund. That is $9,600 a year. At an average 10% annual return, here is what your account looks like at each milestone. After 5 years, you have $62,000. You put in $48,000. You made $14,000 in gains. That does not feel life-changing yet. After 10 years, you have $158,000. You put in $96,000. You made $62,000 in gains. Okay, progress, but still not wealthy. After 15 years, you have $304,000. You put in $104,000. You made $160,000 in gains. Now the gains are bigger than your contributions. This is where most people start to believe it is real. After 20 years, you have $548,000. You put in $192,000. You made $356,000 in gains. You are now looking at early retirement as an actual option. After 25 years, at age 65, you have $954,000. You put in $240,000. You made $714,000 in gains. Notice what happened. You contributed the same $9,600 every year, but in the first 5 years, you made $14,000. In the last 5 years, you made $406,000. That is the trade nobody tells you about when they say you started late. You did not miss the first 10 years of slow growth. You missed the boring part. You still get the last 15 years where the real money is made. And if you bump that 15% to 20%, which is what I did when I finally got serious at 33, the numbers get absurd. 20% of a $70,000 salary is $14,000 a year. Over 25 years at 10%, that is $1.2 million. You are not behind. You just have not started the boring part yet. Look, here is the part that actually matters. The question is not whether the math works. The math works. Vanguard has 70 years of data proving it works. The question is whether you will actually do it. Because the reason most late starters fail is not that they started late. It is that they try to compensate for starting late by doing something exciting. They buy individual stocks. They day trade. They chase crypto. They listen to a guy on YouTube who says he went from 0 to $1 million in 3 years, and the truly rich move is realizing that every single one of those strategies has a lower success rate than just buying the total market and waiting. The SPIVA scorecard tracks this every year. Over a 15-year period, 92% of actively managed funds underperform the S&P 500 after fees. 92%. These are professionals. Analysts with Ivy League degrees and Bloomberg terminals. And they lose to the index. If they cannot beat it, you cannot beat it. I cannot beat it. Nobody on YouTube can beat it. But the financial industry will never tell you that, because if you just buy VTI and hold it for 25 years, they make $0 off you. They make money when you panic and sell. When you buy high-fee mutual funds. When you pay for a financial advisor to tell you that you need a complex portfolio to catch up. I want to tell you about Grace Groner. Grace was a secretary at Abbott Laboratories in Illinois. She never made more than $40,000 a year. She never married. She lived in a one-bedroom house her entire adult life. She drove the same car for decades. In 1935, when she was in her 20s, she bought 3 shares of Abbott Labs stock for $100 total. She held them. She reinvested the dividends. She never sold. Grace died in 2010 at age 100. Her estate was worth $7.2 million, all from 108 and 75 years of doing nothing. She did not time the market. She did not pick hot stocks. She did not panic during the crashes in 1973, 1987, 2000, or 2008. She just held. That is the actual strategy. Buy an index fund that tracks the total stock market. Set up automatic monthly contributions. Do not look at it for 25 years. It is the most boring advice in the world. It is also the only advice that statistically works. Okay, so if you are 30, 40, 45 and you are watching this, thinking, all right, I believe the math, what do I actually do? Here are the 4 moves that matter. First move, calculate 15 to 20% of your gross income. That is your monthly investment number. If you make $60,000 a year, 15% is $9,000 a year, which is $750 a month. That is the number you need to automate. Second move, open a Roth IRA if your income qualifies. For 2024, you can contribute up to $7,000 a year if you are under 50, $8,000 if you are over 50. If your employer offers a 401k, contribute enough to get the full match first, then max the Roth, then go back to the 401k. Third move, inside that account, buy a single total stock market index fund. Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. Fidelity Total Market Index, Schwab U.S. Broad Market ETF. They are all the same thing, expense ratios under 0.5%. You are buying a piece of the entire U.S. economy. Do not buy 10 funds. Do not buy sector funds. Do not buy international unless you want to add a small slice later. Just buy one total market fund. Fourth move, set it to automatic and do not log in. This is the hardest part. The market will drop 15% at some point in the next 5 years. It always does. When that happens, your brain will tell you to sell and protect what you have left. Do not do that. The people who get rich are the people who keep buying when it is down. That is when you are getting the shares on sale. I will tell you what I did wrong so you do not repeat it. In 2011, I was 29. I had $14,000 saved in a Roth IRA. The market dropped 8% in August during the debt ceiling crisis. I panicked and sold everything. I thought I was being smart. I thought I would buy back in after it dropped more. It did not drop more. It recovered 18% over the next 6 months. I bought back in March 2012 and locked in an 8% loss for no reason. Do not be 29-year-old me. The only way you lose money in index funds is if you sell when it is down. If you hold, it is always recovered. Always. Since 1928, the S&P 500 has had 26 years where it dropped more than 10%. In every single case, it recovered within 3 years. In most cases, within 1 year. The market rewards people who do nothing. It punishes people who try to be clever. Here is the thing the financial industry does not want you to understand. Late starters have one massive advantage that early starters do not have. You have higher incomes. A 25-year-old making $45,000 can maybe save 10%. Which is $40,500 a year. A 40-year-old making $75,000 can save 20%, which is $15,000 a year. That 40-year-old is putting in more than 3 times as much per year. Yes, the 25-year-old has more compounding time, but the 40-year-old has more capital to compound. The break-even point is closer than you think. If you are 40 and you invest $15,000 a year for 25 years, you end up with $1.6 million. If someone started at 25 and invested $5,000 a year for 40 years, they end up with $2.2 million. They beat you by $600,000, but they also invested for 15 more years. You are not as far behind as the panic-inducing articles make it seem. And honestly, this is the part that pissed me off when I first ran the numbers. The entire financial media complex is designed to make late starters feel desperate, so they make expensive mistakes. Whole life insurance agents pitch permanent policies to 40-year-olds as their last shot at building cash value. Those policies return 2 to 4% after fees, while the market does 10. So you are paying someone to underperform. Annuity salesmen pitch deferred income annuities as safe retirement income. The fees are often 2 to 3% annually, and the surrender periods lock your money up for 7 to 10 years. You are giving up liquidity and returns because they told you that you are too old to ride out market volatility. Target date funds inside 401ks automatically shift you into bonds as you age, even though you still have 25 years until retirement. Bonds returned 2.3% over the last decade. Stocks returned 12.3%. That shift cost you half your retirement. The entire system profits from your fear. The truly rich move is ignoring all of it and buying the index. Look, I know this sounds too simple to work. I had the same reaction when I finally understood it at 33. I had spent my 20s thinking wealth was complicated, that rich people had secret strategies, that I needed to be smarter or take bigger risks. Then I read The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. He studied 1,000 millionaires and found that most of them got rich the same boring way. They lived below their means. They invested the difference in index funds or their own boring businesses. They did not drive luxury cars. They did not live in mansions. They just quietly compounded for 30 years. The median millionaire in his study had a net worth of $1.6 million and drove a 3-year-old domestic sedan. They were not flashy. They were invisible. That is what Derek understood at 38 that Marcus did not. Wealth is not about making brilliant moves. It is about not making stupid ones. Every dollar you do not spend on a bigger apartment is a dollar that can compound. Every year you do not panic sell is a year the market works in your favor. Every fee you do not pay to an advisor is a fee that stays in your account growing. The math is relentless. 15% of your income automatically invested in a total market index fund for 25 years makes you a millionaire. That is it. That is the whole strategy. It is not sexy. It will not make you feel like a genius. You will never have a story about how you timed the market perfectly or picked the next Tesla, but you will have 1.5 million at 65. And the guy who tried to pick the next Tesla will not. Marcus is 53 now. He has 287,000 saved. That is not nothing, but it is not enough. At his current savings rate, he will have maybe 650,000 by 65. He is going to have to work into his 70s or drastically cut his lifestyle in retirement. Derek is also 53. He has 1.71 million. He is on track to have 2.8 million by 65 if he does not change anything. He will retire at 62 with more money than he knows what to do with. The difference between them was not talent. It was not income. It was not luck. It was that Marcus thought he needed to be smart, and Derek knew he just needed to be consistent. Marcus tried to catch up by taking risks. Derek caught up by trusting math. Marcus believed the financial media. Derek believed the compound interest calculator. If you are 35, 40, 45, and you feel behind, you're standing at the same fork Marcus and Derek stood at in 2010. One path leads to panic, complexity, and trying to beat the market. The other path leads to boring discipline, index funds, and quietly becoming a millionaire. This is Late to Wealth. This channel is for people like Derek, people who started late, but refuse to let that turn into an excuse for bad decisions. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to make the smartest financial decision of your life right now. Start investing 15 to 20% of your income in a total market index fund, automate it, and don't touch it for 25 years. That is the trade. Boring wins. If this video made you rethink what starting late actually means, subscribe. This channel is for all of us who figured it out later than we should have but still have time to get it right. We are not early, we are not late, we are just getting started.